All right, well, welcome to Is This Normal? You know me, I'm your host, Anthony Caranda, formerly of the Full Court Press. I'm joined by my longtime friend. He's going to be joining us regularly. One of the most knowledgeable sports enthusiasts I know. His name is Parker. Parker, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm good. I'm good. It's glad to
Good.
be here. I'm really excited that we're going to be starting this podcast here.
Oh yeah.
I think we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We've been talking about this for what, 10 years now?
Yeah.
Talking sports for 10 years now?
Yeah, something like that.
And we are just hoping to let the world in and kind of hear what goes on inside these minds a little bit.
Yeah.
So tonight we're wanting to talk about get into the NBA awards. We're past the trade deadline. We're past the All Star game. It's time. We're really starting to get an idea of who could win what, who are real contenders. So we're going to go through the awards one at a time. We're going to start with the one that everyone cares about, the go-to, the MVP. So Parker, tell me, who's going to win MVP and why?
In my book, it would have to be Shea Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Second best record in the West right now.
Mm-hmm.
Averaging 31.5 points per game with five and a half rebounds a game and 6.5 assists. To me, it's his. They finished 40-42 last year. Just snuck in to the playoff last year, and right now they're sitting at the top of the West and could be number one by the end of the season. He was fifth in MVP voting last year at 40-42. So I mean, if he doesn't win it this year, I would be more than surprised if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, yeah. So are you basing this on the fact of how much better their team is now than they were last year, or are you strictly looking at what he's done from a statistical standpoint, or what's your criteria here?
I mean, statistically, he's kind of the same of what he did last year. Just I think the team around him has gotten just a tad better, but with the same core of guys, they haven't went out and spent a bunch of money on getting guys, just getting role players, young role players around them, drafted well. But this year he's taken a big step. This year, I think it's like over 30 games this year. He's scored over 30. So he's really been the number one guy for them, and I think he's the reason why that they are number two in the West right now.
Well, he's definitely the driving force.
Yep.
He's definitely the driving force. Me, I mean, I'll kind of counter that. I like Nikola Jokic a little bit too. He'd probably have my vote right now, honestly, just because I feel like he brings a little more to the table overall. You're talking about as a facilitator, as a rebounder, as a scorer, and Shea does all those things, but Nikola is just more refined. I feel like in the eyes of the voters, there's going to be some carryover from their run last year to the title.
Yeah.
Historically, we have seen that be a factor as well. So, I mean, as far as who I think should win, Shea has my vote. I agree with you, but I think Nikola will, just based on history and based on what the criteria tends to be.
That's fair. I mean, he's doing something that we've never seen from a big man. Just the way he plays, the way he can just pass the ball is quite special.
Yeah.
From him.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
But he might have the LeBron effect, though, of where, if you look almost every season, you could give the MVP to LeBron. But we just don't.
Well, isn't that what happened last year, though?
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
Either him. It could either be him or Giannis that get it most years.
Exactly.
They're gonna have amazing stats.
But somehow Embiid won last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And this was the year Embiid maybe actually did deserve to win, and now
Yeah.
injuries happen.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, so going into our next award here, the big one I'm thinking, Coach of the Year. I'll start on this one. My vote for Coach of the Year, I am going to have to land on Chris Finch on this one of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And my reason for saying that is just the fact that they've turned it around so much from last year. You look at the dysfunction, and they are playing as a team like we have not seen them do in a long time. The amount of pressure that was on them, all the scrutiny from the Gobert trade, all the backlash, everyone's saying it was a terrible trade. They have found a way to win with two big men in this modern NBA. They're sitting atop the better conference. They've taken young players. They've gelled. Chris Finch has my vote. What do you say?
I think I'm going to go with the same team, and I'm going to say Mark Dagnall of the Thunder. Right now, they've won, I believe it's 42 games. And they won 40 last year, went 40-42, so didn't even get to 500. And right now they're almost, they're more than 20 games above 500. The team has just been amazing. Jalen Williams has really come on and been a huge second option for them. That's scoring, I think, 17 points a game.
17.
And then having Chet Holmgren come back this year from injury for his rookie season. He's been solid for them. Just the whole team, everyone's gotten better. They're progressing like we would want to see. And just him, the drafting, everything is gelling. They like him. They all love playing together. You can see it in the interviews that they do, post game, even just at practice. You can see that they're really gelled. And then they could potentially play spoiler, even though that they'll probably be underdogs in most of their matchups just because they're a young team going into the playoffs.
Yeah. I think something you hit on really well is the energy associated with the team. You see in the locker room. For me, that's almost more of an indicator of how the coaching is within the team.
Yeah.
The record matters, the numbers matter, of course, but the fact that they're a team that has come together and are doing better than anyone would have expected. For me, that's why. That kind of goes back to my same argument with Minnesota too. Now, you mentioned Jalen Williams as the number 2 option. Do you feel like he really is, or would you say Chet Holmgren?
He just from watching them play, he's definitely the number 2.
Okay.
If Shea's not out there, then he's the go-to guy.
Okay.
Chet's the 3rd, but it just depends on how they play each night. I know a couple games ago, Chet Holmgren had like 27 points, and he was just lights out, and so. Jalen kind of had to step to the side a little bit, but he still put up a strong performance. But when all 3 of those guys are going on the same night, they are a very difficult team to stop.
Yeah. So Rookie of the Year. This is the one I'm hearing people talk about the most, probably. Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
It feels like there's really 2 candidates. And it's really a lot of good discussion has been brought up around different sources around the league as far as what actually decides it. So, who's your Rookie of the Year and why? I'm curious.
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
My Rookie of the Year is going to probably be Victor Wembanyama. I think he's going to win it unanimously. I think there's no surprise about that. I think even going into the season, I think he was the lock.
Sure.
He's proved it. He's been very good on the court, unlike the rest of his team that has been very very bad.
It hasn't been good.
He's put up averaging a double-double, I believe, if not close to it. But just his defensive presence too. He's the best player from this draft.
Clearly.
And you got a 7'4" center. He's gonna stop a lot of shots. He's gonna be unstoppable on offense when he gets it going.
Sure.
Easily.
And I agree. The award is his to lose. I think it's, you see the contrast between the criteria for MVP and Rookie of the Year. Win-loss record, doesn't even feel like it's a record. Feel like it's much of a factor when we're talking Rookie of the Year at all. It's purely stats.
Yeah.
And Wemby, he could win Defensive Player of the Year too. So, I agree. He has showed out better than any rookie in this class. Chet's been good. I think Chet'll lose votes, though, because he's a, quote, red shirt rookie, as I call him. He did sit for a year.
Well, we've had several Rookie of the Years win in the red shirt year. Blake Griffin.
Ben Simmons.
So those two come
Joel Embiid, double red shirt rookie.
So
I
think if, just like Joel Embiid's not winning MVP this year because he didn't meet the criteria.
Exactly.
I think that's the only reason Wembanyama wouldn't win it is if he didn't meet the criteria for games.
Which, that's valid. Most improved player. Yep. This is an interesting award. I feel like it's the most subjective one. I'll go ahead and start with this one. I'm going to surprise the people with this one, but if you really break down the stats, few guys have taken his biggest step this year as Paolo Banchero. The stats have improved a little bit, but his efficiency is better. He's shooting 6% better from the floor right now. He's got his team in position to sneak in the playoffs in the East. He's elevated the team. He's elevated his own game. Probably the most slept on number 1 pick. Look, what's going on down in Norland? This is a number 1 overall pick. He's having a phenomenal first 2 seasons, and no one's I just feel like no one talks about
I
him.
believe he was an all-star this year.
He
as
was.
well.
He was
Snuck
actually.
in
He
as
did.
a reserve.
He's
But yeah, he's taken a Magic team that is probably going to make the playoffs more than likely in the East.
probably at least the
unlike
plan.
last year.
At least the plan.
Yeah, he's their number one option.
He is.
Very good. It's a very good choice. My choice would have to be Kobe White from the Chicago Bulls. I think he's kind of slept on, and I think he deserves it. If you look at Vegas betting odds, Tyrese Maxey is the potential favorite. Maxey averaged 20 points last year. He's averaging 26 this year. If he wins it, I get it. But I think with Kobe White, if you're thinking of most improved player, I mean, he averaged less than 10 points last season. Granted, it's the Chicago Bulls. They're not really playing for anything.
No.
But he's averaging close to 20 points per game this year. So doubling what he did last year.
Yeah.
Last night he's coming off of a 37-point outing, career high for him against the Kings. So it's not like that's an easy matchup to go against. I think if you look at the definition of most improved, it would have to be him. I mean, he's upped his game. If you told me Kobe White coming into the season was going to average close to 20 a game, I would have been like, you're crazy.
Exactly.
Especially from...
I would have said that too.
Yeah. His highest is 13 points a game.
Right.
And so he's averaging... probably going to average 20 points this year.
Probably,
so I would give it to him.
I feel like with Maxey, some of the stuff that goes to the fact that they just replaced Harden.
Yeah.
Not more about the stats. It's the fact that he's in a bigger role too for a quality team. And Embiid going down too. I mean, Maxey's been the number one guy on that team for a long time. I feel like talking about more how well he's handling the increased pressure as opposed to just from a statistical standpoint. But
I think too, if you look at it, who's the better player out of the both of them? I mean, everyone's going to say it's Maxey, hands down.
Yeah,
he's better both ends of the court. I just think this is just a normal progression for a young player who's just taking that next step into being a perennial all-star in this league. So I don't see why I don't see why he should win.
I agree.
Most improved.
Last award we want to get into here, guys. We want to talk about this one. It's a fun award. It's a fun award. Sixth Man of the Year. So I'm going to defer. Who's got your vote here? I feel like this is a tricky one.
That is going to be a tricky one. I'm not really too sure who would be my sixth man of the year.
Yeah, not really sure. Not sure. Well, what do you think the criteria is, even? Like, what do they decide that on?
Probably your first guy off the bench. It's kind of like, maybe when James Harden was with the Thunder, I think it's more that role of a guy who is trying to break the starting lineup, but he can't necessarily do it just because maybe someone's blocking him.
Yeah.
Or just how the lineup matches up.
I think the stats are a big thing. I mean, I'll have to hand it to Tim Hardaway down in Dallas. He's put together a big run down there.
That's pretty.
He's had a good season, but I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on that one.
Yeah, not too much. It's kind of a very slept on award that. Now it's kind of difficult because it's like, well, who's a true sixth man?
Exactly.
At this time,
you're seeing more and more positionless basketball.
Yeah, it should almost kind of be just switched with like a best role player essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, really
sure. Why not? There's no
other
reason.
than that, I genuinely not too sure who would be like who's even in the running.
Exactly.
Exactly. Not just too sure on that.
Well, that's all we've got to talk about, guys. Parker, do you have anything to add here at the end?
Oh, we forgot one award: Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year. You caught me sleeping.
I did. Right now it's probably Rudy Gobert.
Nah, it's Wemby.
You think it's Wembanyama?
All bias aside, I just want to put a rookie in there. I want a rookie to win.
I would go with Rudy.
You'd go with Rudy?
He's done before. Big reason why that Timberwolves team is doing as good as it is.
Yeah,
sure.
I could see the record helping out on this one. Mm-hmm. Them handing Rudy.
I think it would be.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's try this again. So that is all we've got to talk about here tonight. We thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And we will talk to you next time on Is This Normal?
Yep.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. See ya.